From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. It was a busy day in Ottawa with Prime Minister Mark Carney fielding a handful of questions in between meetings. A day after his Liberals swept 3 by-elections and secured a majority government, Carney announced a pause in the collection of the fuel excise tax on gasoline and diesel up until Labor Day. He also met with Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew to talk about the major project to turn Churchill's port into a major hub for international transport. His finance minister then announced a fiscal update was coming on April 28th, and with rumors still swirling of more conservative defections to the Liberals, Carney was asked whether Tory leader Pierre Poilievre should resign. The PM declined to answer, saying,
I respect him as a parliamentarian, as I do the other leaders of the other parties.
Meanwhile, still on the political front, Christine Fréchette is set to be sworn in as Quebec's premier today. She defeated Bernard Dranville in the race to replace François Legault, who created the Coalition Avenir Québec back in 2011 and had been premier since 2018. The 55-year-old Fréchette will be the province's second female premier after Parti Québécois Pauline Marois, who held the role from 2012 to 2014. Today's ceremony comes a little less than 6 months before the next provincial election. A new report says Canadian warehouse leasing activity surged in the last year as shippers sought flexibility and often a way to work around pesky U.S. tariffs.
In the Toronto area, the figures from real estate firm Cushman & Wakefield show that leasing activity soared to the third highest level on record in 2025, reaching nearly 27 million square feet, with national volumes also way up. Across the country, activity really ramped up in the second half of the year as packaging and logistics firms strove to meet a boost in demand from shippers and retailers looking to manage risk in response to U.S. President Donald Trump's shifting tariffs. Experts say uncertainty rather than economic growth is driving the warehouse rush. David Augustine, The Canadian Press.
Environment Canada says earlier concerns of heavy storms and possible tornadoes in Ontario have eased, but the province's southwest is still likely going to get hit with plenty of rain. A string of thunderstorms and tornado warnings were cancelled this morning, but the weather agency says it still has rainfall warnings in place. Forecasters say between Kitchener and Owen Sound, upwards of 30 millimeters of precipitation can be expected. Meanwhile, for areas from Windsor to Woodstock, including Chatham, Kent, and London, as much as 50 millimeters of rain is likely. And finally, Russia's top diplomat says Iran has an inalienable right to enrich uranium for civilian purposes. Iran is a signatory to the 1970 Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which gives countries the right to peaceful nuclear energy programs with safeguards, but does not explicitly mention enrichment. Speaking from Beijing, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says his comments show that Russia and China firmly support the talks to end the conflict between the U.S. and Iran. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, starting off in the NHL, Jake DeBrusk scored his second goal of the night in overtime as the Vancouver Canucks edged the Los Angeles Kings 4-3. Now the Canucks close out their season on the road against Edmonton on Thursday. Elsewhere, Nick Schmaltz scored twice as the Utah Mammoth beat the Winnipeg Jets 5-3, securing the first wildcard spot in the Western Conference. The Jets host the San Jose Sharks on Thursday. Elsewhere, the Colorado Avalanche edged the Calgary Flames 3-1, and Philadelphia doubled the Habs 4-2. In the PWHL, Vancouver topped Seattle 4-1. Now in the MLB, the Toronto Blue Jays outlasted the Milwaukee Brewers in interleague play, a 9-7 win after 10 innings. And finally, Sergio Garcia has apologized for a temper tantrum on Sunday during the final at the Masters. He had a bad tee shot on the second hole and twice slammed his driver into the turf before slamming the club against the bench and breaking the head clean off. In a first for the Masters, officials had to issue a code of conduct warning. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.